When you were cast, was there any specific musical from the golden age, aside from Brigadoon, that you went back to sort of draw on information for your characters?
For me, it was definitely Carousel. I mean, as soon as I got the kind of the scene to audition, I said, this is the bench scene. Becomes the If I Loved You scene in Carousel. And obviously Danny is kind of, our version of Billy Bigelow in the town. And there are other influences too. There's some Annie Get Your Gun in there. But, for me, really, it was all Carousel. And I was trying to get my Gordon McRae on, his original Billy Bigelow on film. So that was the one for me.
I think the brilliant thing about Schmigadoon is that it is playing on all of our collective cultural references, So I don't think I really had to do much research to really understand what was expected of the character of Betsy. I think that's kind of the brilliance of these characters, is that they are so recognizable, and they're so broad strokes. I think that throughout the whole series, there's references to, like things that feel like Music Man and things that feel like Sound of Music, and like that sort of like there's that sort of broad strokes grandeur. But like particularly for my character, I think that sort of like temptress, like big doe-eyed character, she's in every show, right? So it was just actually fun to be able to play so unabashedly.
Corn pudding, what's that?
What? Are you trying to tell me that you've never heard of corn pudding? She's never heard of corn pudding!
Oh no, it's a song. You just started another song.
Corn pudding, corn pudding, corn pudding, corn pudding, corn pudding, corn pudding!
Can we opt out of this?
Each of you has participated in one of the live televised musicals. And in speaking with Barry just now, he really wanted to sort of keep things in a wide and keep things sort of like as uncutty as possible. And I'm wondering how different the process was for this as it was for those live musicals, whether it be Grease or Hairspray Live.
Yeah, for me, it was, I think Dove probably feels this way too. It's good to have that kind of experience to lean on a little bit. For me, it actually felt more like when we filmed the Les Mis movie than Grease Live particularly, because you're just kind of setting up and shooting shots. Whereas, Grease Live, we really rehearsed it like a play. And then it just became this other thing kind of the week before, gearing up to do this one time live. So it was, I think I definitely lean more on my experience shooting the Les Mis movie, but any opportunity to do musicals in this medium, I think is only going to be helpful when you step into something like this.
Definitely. Yeah. I think that funny enough, I do agree with you, Aaron. I did a franchise that was entirely musical for like 8 years. And that to me felt closer to my experience in film than like a musical, because it was so like shooting that. Kenny Ortega, who was our director, was so particular in close-ups and romantic moments and variations that we shot the hell out of that. Like we shot that from every angle, every imaginable close-ups and things like that. And that does not feel broad strokes musical to me at all. And so Schmigadoon actually was closer to my experience with Hairspray, because there were so many wides and it did feel like a number rather than like, okay, now we're just going from this point to this point in the song. And, you have innumerable amounts of takes. We didn't do that many takes of the musical numbers in Schmigadoon, not like in the way that I've experienced with like normal film and TV. So yeah, it was closer to Hairspray Live for me.
Each of you has sort of the unenviable task of performing essentially opposite a scene partner who is in a different reality than you are. Or I guess you are in a different reality than your scene partner. Who's to say who's right and who's wrong? I guess what is it like where like you're sort of giving at this like 11 and someone is sort of receiving it at like a 1 or 2 because they are not in on it with you? Is it strange to act in that space?
I think it was just it lended to opportunities for the comedy of the show. It's there's a great moment at the end of my first number where I go from singing this whole thing to then I button the number, the music drops out, and then I'm just back to totally normal. And Cecily's clapping, and I have no idea what she's even clapping about. Once I understood that's what we were doing, it was like, oh, he actually is doing. It's like almost like it's like you're at Disney World and you're on like the It's a Small World ride, and they're just doing what they do. I almost felt like that a little bit with Danny. It's like, this is what I do. This is what I'm going to say. It's almost like I was saying lines as opposed to actually interacting with someone a little bit, at least at the beginning.
What are you trying to do? Are you trying to get me to fall for you?
What? No.
Well, then why do those crazy kind of thoughts keep running through my head?
I don't really...
Well, you can forget it. Because no woman is gonna tie Danny Bailey down, no how.
Sure.
When a squirrel wants another squirrel, he don't bother to get attached.
Oh, you got a private show.
And a robin don't think about the future when he's got an itch to be scratched.
You're very good.
I'm like an animal in the wild, so here's a truth to which you must be reconciled.
Need a better agent.
Yeah, actually, Aaron has one of my all-time favorite moments when you're singing. I won't give anything away, but your number when Cecily is leaving the morning.
Oh,
You know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
That, when I watched that back, I literally had to rewind it 3 or 4 times because I was laughing so much. Because it lends itself to that hilarity of like the dissonance between the two realities and the true like what is like perceived insanity of these characters that are from the town of Schmigadoon. It's so much fun. And also I will say on a personal note, I feel like most of my life is me being at a 10 and everybody else in the room being at a 2. So I feel like I'm kind of like, I feel quite normal, like bouncing off of myself and having someone kind of being like the witness. And I'm like, anyway, you know, like, so I actually kind of felt like it was quite normal. And yeah, I mean, Cecily and Keegan are so brilliant. It was like so brilliant to do it opposite them where they're doing the least and we're doing the most and they're getting such maximum impact.
You might have that moment, Aaron, where Danny's final song ends. I think it's the first time that the audience is clued into, oh, they don't know they're singing. Because
Exactly.
you say something like, you're like, singing? What?
Yeah.
Like you question
Yeah,
it all.
that's something we talked about too. It's like, but that, you know, that number we talked about how it's like really the first, we have the opening number, of course, but we're learning how this world works. And so that was something I think that was really important to kind of tell the story that these characters actually don't even know that they're in a musical. This is just how they operate. And so, that was something, you know, it was really fun to play with.
Thank you so much for your time today and congratulations on the show. It's fantastic.
Thank you
Thanks, Leo.
so much.